Welcome back to Life of Bikers, where we dive deep into the world of motorcycles, brotherhood, and the raw reality of biker life. Today, we're tackling a dark and controversial topic: biker gangs and the drug trade, a dark connection. This isn't a story for the faint of heart, but it's one that needs to be told. So, let's rev up and dive into the murky waters of biker gangs and their involvement in the drug trade. The image of biker gangs in popular culture is often romanticized: the open road, the freedom, the brotherhood. But beneath this veneer lies a much darker reality. For many biker gangs, the drug trade is not just a sideline but a central part of their operations. This isn't a new phenomenon. The connection between biker gangs and the drug trade has been around for decades, and it's deeply ingrained in the subculture. Biker gangs like the Hells Angels, the Mongols, and the Outlaws have been linked to various criminal activities, but drug trafficking remains one of the most lucrative and persistent. The reasons are clear: the demand for drugs is high, and the profits are enormous. These gangs have established sophisticated networks to manufacture, transport, and distribute drugs, often crossing international borders. Let's start by looking at the Hells Angels. Founded in 1948 in California, the Hells Angels quickly grew into one of the most notorious biker gangs in the world. Their involvement in the drug trade began in the 1960s and 1970s, during the rise of the counterculture movement. The Hells Angels capitalized on the growing demand for drugs like marijuana, LSD, and later, cocaine and methamphetamine. They established connections with other criminal organizations, creating a robust distribution network that spanned continents. The Hells Angels were particularly notorious for their role in the methamphetamine trade. Meth, or crystal meth, became a significant source of income for the gang. They controlled production facilities, often referred to as meth labs, and distributed the drug across the United States and internationally. The gang's involvement in meth production was so extensive that law enforcement agencies coined the term Hells Angels methamphetamine. But the Hells Angels are not alone. The Mongols, another infamous biker gang, have also been deeply involved in the drug trade. The Mongols were founded in 1969 in California, primarily by Hispanic veterans of the Vietnam War who were rejected by the Hells Angels due to their ethnicity. The Mongols quickly established themselves as a formidable force in the biker world and entered the drug trade to fund their operations and expand their influence. The Mongols have been heavily involved in the distribution of methamphetamine and cocaine. They have also been known to engage in violent clashes with rival gangs, particularly the Hells Angels, over control of drug territories. These turf wars often result in brutal violence, not just between gang members, but also involving innocent bystanders caught in the crossfire. The Outlaws, another major biker gang, have a similar story. Founded in 1935 in Illinois, the Outlaws have a long history of criminal activity, including drug trafficking. They have been particularly active in the distribution of methamphetamine and marijuana. The Outlaws have also formed alliances with other criminal organizations, including the Mafia, to facilitate their drug trade operations. One of the most significant aspects of biker gangs' involvement in the drug trade is their organizational structure. These gangs operate like paramilitary organizations, with a strict hierarchy and a code of conduct that members are expected to follow. This structure allows them to effectively manage their drug trade operations, from production to distribution. Members are often assigned specific roles such as manufacturing, transportation, and street-level dealing. Biker gangs also employ various tactics to avoid law enforcement detection. They use coded language and signals, change routes frequently, and employ counter-surveillance techniques. Some gangs even have members who work in law enforcement or have connections with corrupt officials, providing them with inside information and protection. The impact of biker gangs' involvement in the drug trade extends beyond the gang itself. The communities where these gangs operate often suffer from increased crime rates, violence, and drug addiction. Families are torn apart by the scourge of drugs, and neighborhoods become war zones as gangs fight for control. Law enforcement agencies have been battling biker gangs and their drug trade activities for years. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives, ATF, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, have conducted numerous operations to dismantle these gangs. These operations often involve undercover agents infiltrating the gangs, gathering evidence, and executing large-scale arrests. One of the most notable operations was Operation Black Rain, which targeted the Mongols. In 2008, federal authorities conducted a massive raid, arresting dozens of Mongols members and seizing weapons, drugs, and other illegal items. The operation dealt a significant blow to the gang, but like many criminal organizations, they quickly regrouped and continued their operations. Despite the efforts of law enforcement, biker gangs remain a formidable force in the drug trade. Their deep-rooted connections, organizational structure, and willingness to use violence make them difficult to eradicate. Moreover, the high demand for drugs ensures that there will always be a market for their products. In recent years, there have been some changes in the dynamics of biker gangs and the drug trade. The legalization of marijuana in several states has impacted the gangs' profits from this drug. However, they have adapted by shifting their focus to other drugs, such as opioids and synthetic drugs like fentanyl. These drugs are highly addictive and extremely profitable, making them an attractive option for biker gangs. The international nature of the drug trade also means that biker gangs often collaborate with other criminal organizations. They may work with Mexican cartels to obtain drugs, or with European crime syndicates to distribute them overseas. This global network makes it even more challenging for law enforcement to combat the drug trade effectively. As we wrap up this deep dive into the dark connection between biker gangs and the drug trade, it's essential to recognize the complexities of this issue. These gangs are not just groups of motorcycle enthusiasts. They are highly organized criminal enterprises that pose a significant threat to society. The drug trade is just one aspect of their criminal activities, but it is one of the most damaging. Addressing this issue requires a multifaceted approach. Law enforcement must continue their efforts to dismantle these gangs, but there also needs to be a focus on reducing the demand for drugs. This involves education, prevention, and treatment programs to help those struggling with addiction. In the end, the world of biker gangs and the drug trade is a stark reminder of the darker side of human nature. It's a world where brotherhood and loyalty are often intertwined with violence and criminality. But by shedding light on these issues, we can hope to bring about change and create a safer, more just society. Thank you for joining us on Life of Bikers. Stay tuned for more in-depth explorations of the biker world, and remember to ride safe and keep the rubber side down.